Recording in progress.
It's time to wake up, Mahela.
With decades of precision comes a partnership between man and technology, pushing boundaries in the pursuit of staying well connected. SLT Mobitel, the connection.
Alexa, remind me to get some extra GB.
Why add a reminder? I can simply get it for you.
You can do that?
For the first time in Sri Lanka, manage your SLT Mobitel home services with an Alexa device or the app.
Connecting you with the latest tech.
SLT Mobitel, the connection.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Pavani Kalegana, and I would like to welcome all of you to the final day of the Road to INSL 2022. We are happy and proud to tell you that the first two sessions of the Road to INSL 2022 were successfully concluded within the past 2 days with amazing participation and also a lot of positive feedback. Especially a lot more than the previous years has encouraged our INSL family in providing you with the best in the future too. Although we are aware that you all are eagerly waiting for today's session to start, I would like to give you all a summary of the journey of the Road to INSL program we have come so far. The Road to INSL is a 3-day training program focused on setting off the entrepreneurial spark in you. This series of workshops upskill the applicants with all the basic techniques from finding an investable and innovative idea to implementing it. The topics which are covered in the Road to INSL program are: Day 1, Welcome to the Ecosystem and delve into design thinking, which was concluded on Friday. Day 2, How to develop a business canvas model, which was concluded yesterday. And Day 3, Market Stratagems and learn how to pitch, Innovation Nation competition and application guide. To start the proceedings for the day, I'd like to invite the co-vice chairperson of INSL 2022, Ms. Uvini De Silva, to formally welcome all of you. Over to you, Vinny.
Thank you, Pavani. Good evening to all of you. Thank you all so much for investing your time in the Road to INSL training program, which is organized just for you. First, I would like to warmly welcome all of you to the third and final session of the Road to INSL 2022 training program. It's indeed our pleasure to have you all here. Today, we will be having an amazing session on market strategisms and learn how to pitch, and taking a closer look on how to fill the Innovation Nation application completion guide. So now, I would warmly welcome our guest speaker for the evening, Mr. Mafaz Ifham, co-founder at Show and Tell. It's an honor for us to have you as our speaker tonight, and thank you for accepting our invitation, supporting us, and being with us here today amidst your busy schedules. And also, I would like to welcome all the advisors, mentors, representatives of young professionals in Sri Lanka, and also all the special guests who joined us today with the Road to INSL training program. It's such a pleasure to have you all here today. And finally, I would like to welcome all the participants from the enthusiastic teams of INSL 2022 who joined with us today. Hope you all will gain the best out of the session. With that, we will start the final day of Road to INSL, and in the second half, going through the Innovation Nation application, which will be the next step of your INSL journey. Hope both the sessions will be enjoyable and insightful. Best of luck on your innovative journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinny. Here at Innovation Nation Sri Lanka, we have a well-established support system to provide guidance and financial assistance for our applicants along with some other perks. To give you a better understanding of how we work, we have prepared a short video for you. So, today's session is twofold. The first section will mainly focus on the marketing stratagems and pitching, and the second section will be a guide to fill the Innovation Nation competition application. Without further ado, let's move on to the first session of today's program. A marketing stratagem is a long-term plan for achieving the goals of a business by understanding the needs of customers and creating a distinct and sustainable competitive advantage. Also, since emerging entrepreneurs need mentors, investments, markets at appropriate times, they will get to pitch their startup idea to various types of people. Pitching is simply presenting an overview of our business plan, products, and growth trajectory to potential investors and clients. Since pitching is going to portray your fabulous business plan in a nutshell, it is crucial to learn do's and don'ts of pitching. I agree. Our young entrepreneurs are curiously waiting today to grab the most important information and tips from our session. To enlighten our audience today, we have with us Mr. Mohammed Mafaz, co-founder, chief storyteller at Show and Tell, who has graciously accepted our invitation to share his expertise in the field. A small note for the audience, we have made available a Slido link in the chat for the participants to voice out any of your questions regarding the market stratagems and pitching, which will then be answered at the end of the Q&A session by Mr. Mohammed. Any INSL competition related questions will be answered during the second section of the program today. So, ladies and gentlemen, guiding you on marketing stratagems and pitching, Mr. Mohammed Mafaz.
Thank you, Pavani. Good evening, everyone. I'm very excited to be here with you today. This is, I think, been my third or fourth year working with IEEE INSL, and this has always been. I was just watching the video. It's amazing. 2,500 plus applications, ideas from across Sri Lanka coming, and just trying to launch your idea to the world. It's a great journey, right? So I think all of you will deserve a big round of applause just for having the courage to think of something innovative and putting your effort into making that into a reality. So I'm very privileged. I'm very honored today to be here with you to share a little bit of knowledge about how do we pitch our startup, how do we pitch our idea to the world, and how do we get that investment that we need in order to make our business financially secure, as well as to grow our business faster than if we were trying to do it all on our own. Right. So let me walk you through my presentation today. As Pavani mentioned, there's a Slido link that will be shared in the chat. So during the session, I'm sure there are going to be questions, there are going to be things that you all want to clarify. Please go and put your questions in that link. Do not worry, the question might sound or seem like a very silly, stupid, obvious question. But sometimes that is the one question that everybody has that needs to be answered, right? So please, if you have a question, don't worry about it. Just put it in the Slido link, and we'll get to it during the Q&A session, right? So let's talk about how do we master our pitch, right? So as Pavani mentioned, your pitch is basically you going to somebody and telling them why your business deserves funding in order to grow. Right? And we are going to learn how do we do that. So a little bit about myself. I started a company called Show and Tell, which is the first dedicated presentation strategy design and training agency in Sri Lanka. Over the last 7 years, I've worked with over 35 startups, helping them to raise money for their own business. So startups as well as mature companies. As at my last count, when I looked at all the companies that we worked with, we have had startups trying to raise over $95 million, right? So these are startups from Sri Lanka, from the US, India, UK, Australia, Africa. And what I'm sharing with you today is my learnings from having worked with all of those startups. So we've worked with companies that have gone through venture capital. They have worked through companies that have gone the hard way of going to investors, who have gone through incubators, accelerators, competitions like what y'all are going through right now. And all of those, we've kind of identified what are the good things and what are the things that we need to talk about, what are the things that we should include in our pitch. And that is what I am here to share with you, right? So pitching is definitely it's a hard game, but you don't need to make your life harder by not having the right story, right? So my job today is to try and help you build that right story. So by the end of today's session, I have two key objectives. I want you all to be able to plan and prepare the content for your pitch deck, as well as I'm going to give you some tips on what you can do in order to prepare for your delivery. That means when you have to go and present to somebody, what are things that you can do to make your presentation the one that everyone remembers, right? Now, today's topic also says that we'll be talking about marketing stratagems. I'm not going to go into too much into marketing stratagems, but one thing I can tell you is when you create your pitch deck, whether you are actually thinking of going for fundraising or whether you are thinking of just doing this, you don't want to be an investor, you want to do it yourself, you want to go do competitions, go at customers, get money, grow your business in a very sustainable, slow method, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Whether you are going to investors or not, my recommendation is create a pitch deck. The reason I'm saying that is when you create a pitch deck, you are going to identify several key areas of your business that you want to develop. Right? And when you develop this and when you put that onto a presentation or onto paper, it's going to help you identify where do you need to put your time and focus and how do you make your business grow. Whether you get funding or not is secondary. Right? So a pitch is always good, and what you learn through that process. But when you understand, this is where I want to take my business. This is my plans for the life, for the next 5 years or 3 years. That will help you plan your marketing and your uh, business development goals as well. Right. So today my primary focus is going to be pitching, but definitely if you do what we talked about today, create a pitch deck. I'm sure by the end of the exercise, you will definitely have a lot of insight about your business and how you want to market it and grow it moving forward. Right. So let's jump straight in. So the first thing I want all of you to understand is that when you go for fundraising or to pitch your startup or pitch your idea, it's all about storytelling, right? At the end of the day, what we want to do is we are going to go in front of strangers. They might be investors, they might be judges, they might be principal partners. There might be somebody who decides should this startup be given an advantage, financial aid, or mentoring aid, or some other aid, convincing them that this is something that definitely can benefit you. I mean, convincing them that this is a startup that has a potential, a journey in front of them. And because of that, we need to fund it. That is about storytelling. That is where storytelling comes. It is your job as the idea creator, as the founder, as the entrepreneur, as the leading team member to be able to tell your startup story. Right? Now, when I say storytelling, I don't mean once upon a time there was, I was at home and I was waking up in the morning, this happened. No. When we talk about business storytelling, what we want to do is we want to have all the elements of a good story without making a story itself. Right? So, what do you normally see in a good story? When you think about a movie that you enjoyed or you read a book that you like, generally there are certain key elements in a story. So you normally have a villain, you have a hero, you have somebody who is going to come and help the hero, you are going to have a plot, an unexpected plot twist, right? And usually most stories end with a happily ever after, right? So a startup pitch deck is the same thing, right? We need to show our villain, we need to show our hero, we need to show our mentor, right? Our guide, we need to show what the happily ever after looks like, right? So all of that is where the storytelling comes in. So when we are telling our startup story, we are trying to build all of these different elements into a simple, short presentation that tells that story very effectively. Now, why do we tell this story? Why do we raise money for our startups? So there are a number of reasons that we do this, but let me talk to you about the top 4 reasons. Right. So reason number 1 is we want to grow our business. Very often, we as founders, we should not be happy growing slowly. Right? It's not enough to just be, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do all the programming, I'm going to do all the UI development, I'm going to do all the bug fixing. I don't need anybody else. Then you're not an entrepreneur, you're a solopreneur. That means you are you are still on a job, right? But you're not getting other people to work for you. You are doing all the work yourself. Right? So as a startup, as a good founder, or if you want to become a successful founder, you need to learn how do you scale your business. And scaling your business basically means bringing people in and getting them to do the work rather than you doing everything. Right? Now, scaling is one of the main reasons that we go for fundraising, because we know with the team that we have, maybe just a few, we can just handle it a little bit slowly here and there. At some point, you want to scale. You want to be big enough to go to many customers all over the world and become successful. So scaling is one of the main reasons that we go for fundraising. The second reason is to gain credibility. Right? So sometimes when you're raising money, we want to bring in the right investors who will say, you know what, okay, this person is investing in your business. That means you are a credible partner or a credible vendor. Right? So let's, for example, let's say, you are into a real estate business. So if you go and get somebody who is a very well-known real estate, person, or a realtor who's very well known, you get them to come on board. What's going to happen immediately? Your business gets a lot more brand power because you are now seen as a credible investment. Right. The other thing that we sometimes go funding is for financial freedom. So that means where we are not worried about paying salaries or paying the rent, when as a business, if you spend as a CEO of your company, if you spend every day worrying about how do I pay salaries, how do I put the lights on, how do I pay utilities, whatever, right? If you are worried about that every single day, you are never going to be able to um, really think about how do you grow the business, how do you make it successful, right? So sometimes what you want is you want to bring in some money from outside just so that you can say, listen, yeah, we want to be financial for this. I want money for about 1 year, and that year I'm going to focus. This money is going to be used to keep the business running, but I'm going to focus on how to go into new markets, how to build new products, how to come up with new features, right? So that is another reason why we sometimes bring in funding. And the final reason is to get access to other resources. So, for example, if let's say you are in a business and you want to bring Haley's or John Kears or car dealers into as an investor. Why? Because you want to get access to their network, right? Maybe you're a logistics company. You're building a product for a logistics company, right? So if you get invested by someone at John Kears, then you are going to get access to all their logistics expertise, and then you can make your product more successful. Right? So these are some of the key reasons. There are other reasons as well, but if you look at majority of the reasons why places where we raise money, we are going after one of these four things. So it's important for you also to understand why do you want to raise money as a startup, right? And then to identify what is the right time. So the right time is a bit harder, but at least knowing why is a good starting point. Now, once you know why, you have to then start working on your pitch deck, right? So I told you a pitch deck is your story is basically a story. So there has to be a hero, there has to be a villain, there has to be a plot twist, there has to be something where the audience has to feel that this is someone that we want to see them becoming successful, right? And your pitch deck effectively is the story of your startup from the day it was born, the idea in your head, to the day it is going to become a successful global venture, right? Or a local venture, doesn't matter, right? So generally, when you look at a pitch deck, most early stage startups, right? So I believe most of you all are at that early stage. You should have the answers for at least the 11 things that you see on screen right now. Right? So if these 11 things you haven't thought about, you might be a little too early in your startup journey. Right? So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of these 11 areas. And what I want each of you to do is I want to please take screenshots. I know this recording session is being recorded as well, but we never watch recordings. So take screenshots, take notes. What I would like you all to do is, as we go through sessions, just think about, do I know this? Can I answer this question for my startup? Right? And that's all I want from you. Just do that at every single point. And if you think I don't know the answer for this, or my answer is not clear enough, then over the next few days, I want you to sit down and really think about it. And because definitely this is something that each of you all, if you all are planning on building a successful business, you have to have this content readily available in your business vision, right? So let's start with the very first slide, which is our cover slide. So any presentation, you're going to have a cover slide. My recommendation on the cover slide is very simple. Make sure that it's clean, it's clear, right? You need to have a company logo. You need to have your company name. You need to have a one-line pitch or one-line description of your startup. And I'm going to explain to you how you can do that one line. So, but when you're creating your cover slide, a few things I want you to remember. Keep it very clean and focused. Don't distract the audience. If your startup is into education, make sure that your images, your font choices, everything match the mood of what you're trying to sell, right? Make sure that your logo is clear, but don't make it too big that it's not visible enough, right? It should be big enough that people can see it and understand, we are listening to this startup, but not so big that is filling up the whole screen and you can't see anything else. Right? Put a nice image and put a one-liner. And one suggestion I would have is try to avoid using jargon. So sometimes, we get carried away. We say, we are building the next generation of IoT solutions. Who said? You. That's not enough. We are building the cutting edge or bleeding edge or state of the art. Who said? So these are unnecessary words where everyone uses them, and then when you use it over and over again, the power of it is gone. So being able to explain your startup, your idea, your business in a very simple, easy to understand way proves that you as a founder know your business, right? Not everybody can do it. So if you can do it, you get an advantage. So now how do you make that one-liner? So I'm going to give you 2 tips. There are 2 approaches you can take for this. So approach number 1 is the what approach. So the what approach is where you make a very logical statement about what we do. And the why approach is where you tap into an emotional reason, right, of why customers buy our product. Now, to help this during this exercise, but during this presentation, what I've done is my team and we have put together a presentation for a made-up startup. Right? This is a startup called Study Buddy, which we came up with an idea randomly, and we thought, okay, it's a good idea to build a learning platform for school children so that they can learn in groups. Right? So that's our idea. Now, during today's presentation, I'm going to show you samples. We created a pitch deck for that, just as a model, and I'm going to show you samples. I'm going to cover slide every slide. I'm going to show you what that looked like for that idea. Right? Now, similarly, for the Study Buddy idea, if I had to explain it to somebody, if I tell you what statement, I will say very simply, Study Buddy is a gamified online learning platform that helps students study in groups. What does Study Buddy do? Answer is there. Great. And very simple. You just ask yourself, if you're a startup, you must be having a name for a startup, what does ABC startup do? What do we do? We have an answer. That answer in a very simple, short, powerful words, you use it. Anyone who when I tell this to somebody, they should be able to say, no, these guys are doing online learning. It's gamified. It's students who are studying in groups. Very simple, very easy. But if you want to stand out from the crowd, if you want to stand out from the others, you can try and do the why approach. Now, what is a why approach? Now, for Study Buddy, if I have to say why we built it, I will say, the Study Buddy helps students succeed in their studies using gamified group learning experiences. So why does Study Buddy exist? Because we are trying to help students succeed in their studies. How are we doing that? Is through the online gamified learning experiences. Now, both of these options are correct, right? But if you as a founder are able to tell somebody, as an investor, if you come and say, listen, I'm building product ABC and this is why we are building it. This is our purpose. If I believe you, if I trust you, if I'm like, wow, this guy really understands it, I will more likely support a why startup than a what startup. Because a why startup, let's say, once we start, we will launch the product, we get the funding, we take it to the world, and we find out that people don't want gamified online learning. If I'm a what person, my entire business is over. But because I'm a why person, because I'm saying I'm helping students succeed, that is my purpose. I will always change my why or how in order to achieve my why. So you can always try and build a why statement. Try to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why are we building this product? Why are we making this happen? And when you have an answer for that, that should be what you put on the screen. But keep it very short, maximum, 15 to 20 words, just so that that one quick sentence tells the audience, this is why this startup deserves to be listened to. Right? So a cover slide, the main goal is to make sure the investors, the judges, the panel decides, this sounds interesting, let's listen to what they have to say. Right? So once you have a cover slide, so let me show you a cover slide for Study Buddy. Very simple. The line is there. The logo is clear. I put an image of a child studying online. She's happy. She's in a school kind of a background. So all the images, everything on this slide is talking about a happy, successful student who is studying on their computer. Right? So you want to also try and create the same vibe for whatever your startup idea is. Now, once you start, the first slide that we jump into in a pitch deck is your problem or opportunity slide. So this is the villain in your pitch or your startup story. Right? So this is a problem that we are trying to solve through our product or service. Right? So in your problem statement on this slide, you need to show what the problem is. You need to try and quantify it. You can use qualitative and quantitative. That means you can use numbers or you can use opinions. And you want to try and include a financial metric. Right? I'll show you what I mean by that. So when you're creating this slide, a few things you want to try and do, right? Look at your business problem from multiple points of view, right? You might not have just only one user, you will have different users, suppliers, vendors, resellers, the actual customers and users. Look at all of their points of view and try to identify what are the key problems that your product is trying to solve for these different user groups. Right? Then ask yourself, who is my main customer? And then pick what are the key problems that your main customers, right? You might have one or two groups of customers. What are the main problems that you are solving for them? And wherever possible, try to quantify. So for example, if you're building a product that is trying to save people time, right? Without simply saying, we can save your time, you can say, we will save 20 hours a month if you use our product, right? So you can calculate these things in a way that you kind of help the audience have a metric to compare it without simply saying, we are saving time. We will save 10 hours of every user's day or every user's month if they use our product, right? Or now the 10 hours can also be put into a financial metric. You can look at this person, if they're earning 60,000 rupees a month, this is how much their hourly rate is. So 10 into that hourly rate tells you how much the financial cost to that person is of not using your product or service. Right? So when you're putting a problem statement, look at it from different people's points of views and pick the most powerful points that will be remembered or that justify why your product needs to be there. Right? So looking at Study Buddy, this idea came up during COVID. So we had a lot of COVID-inspired ideas. So we have put metrics. We have said 33%, 64%. These are metrics they're throwing. These statistics are made up. Please don't quote these statistics anywhere. We have talked about the persona, who is our ideal customer base, right? And also what we have done is we've looked at a student. What is a student's life? For if they're going to university, if they're going to school, they have to go for classes, minimum number of classes they have to go to. We looked at all of those numbers and we said, okay, listen, if a student is going for X number of classes a month, it is costing them, the child, that student is, parent is going to be paying a minimum of 36,000 rupees a month on extra classes and fees. Okay? So what we have said is, we have made our statement and said, okay, minimum, if our product works, if online group studying is more successful than or is as successful as going for classes, we should be able to reduce the parents' financial cost of sending students to classes by at least by minimum 36,000 rupees or maximum 36,000 rupees. So this is where that financial metric comes in, right? We've also given some qualitative or opinion. So we said, before COVID, because of COVID, that group learnings don't work. That's just opinion. There's no statistics behind it, right? So we're throwing in both statistics as well as non-statistics based statements in order to prove our case. So this is our challenge. So this is the problem that we are trying to solve, and this is our villain, right? So that's what I want you to remember. This is our villain that we are trying to solve and trying to make our product based on fighting this villain. Now, once we know our problem statement, the next question is, how many people actually have this problem? And that is your market validation. So market validation is a very simple thing. You need to calculate roughly how many people are going to be there who are going to need your product or service, right? We want to try and be very specific on who our audience is. So without simply saying it's, all parents, you want to say, parents who are between the ages of this or this, who have only one kid, or if you want to say that, it's for users for small businesses who are earning revenues between so much and so much, who have been in operation for such a long time. So you want to kind of not be too general about who your market is, because then also your marketing gets affected because you don't know who you're targeting. Right? So be very specific on who your customer is. Pick the demographic very clearly. And I'm looking for customers who are between the ages of this and this. They have this education, this. Your criteria can be a little detailed. And one thing that you should try to avoid is try to avoid the percentages, right? So what does this mean is, when we talk about our market, I'll show you a graph for this. We should always say that, okay, we are not going to go after everybody on day one. We started a small group, and then that group, once that group has been convinced of our product, that group is using our product, then we go to a slightly bigger group. So when you talk about market sizing, one thing that you want to do is you want to create this graph or this structure which talks about your total addressable market, your serviceable market, and your share of market. So share of market is the smallest group, right? Who are the people that you are going to go after immediately? Now, for example, in Study Buddy, the share of market are students who are from grade 11 and 12 studying in private schools in Colombo. Just 200,000 users. I know for a fact that we will never convince all 200,000 to come onto our platform. So it is anyhow going to be a percentage of this 200. But we want to say this is the smallest, this is our first group. Now, when you know that your first group is private school students who are in their A-levels, your marketing, your content, everything is going to change to target them, right? Now, I know for a fact, students who are going for A-levels are not going to be interested in something that is, very kiddish, right? We should talk to them, organize events or get them to come for events outside. They come for exhibitions, for university studies. Be at those places. But those are not the places where the grade 5, grade 6, grade 7 students are going to be, right? So this is your first thing. You need to understand who is your first group that you're going to go after. Now, once that, you will capture a percentage of this, maybe 50%, 40%, 30%, 80%, great. But that group is your starting group. Then you have the serviceable market. That is, after this group, who is the next group? Right, now we are going to go after O levels and A levels, right? In all the schools in all of Sri Lanka. And then our final group is going to be every student who is sitting for the grade 5 scholarship and above. So now what I'm telling my customer, telling my investor, or telling a judge is, I know who my customers are. And I know that there are enough people who have this problem who I'm going to help with my Study Buddy solution. Right? So this is what we want. Even from your startup, you should know who your serviceable market is, who your addressable market is, and very importantly, who is your share of market, who is your first target when you're going to market and sell your product or service to that group. The share of market is where you start. Right? So this is your market validation. Now, once you have told people, there's a problem. There's a problem in the world. We have to solve this problem. This problem, there are enough people who are suffering from this problem that we need to find a solution. Right? And that is your solution. Now, in the solution, you talk about what you're trying to do, how it works, what are the features, what are the key highlights of the product. Right? Again, this product, what you want to do is don't overcomplicate. Don't talk about the methods and functions and all of these things. Right? Keep it very simple. Keep it easy to understand. Right? Connect the problems that you talked about earlier in your presentation. Connect it on this. We told you earlier there is this problem. Here is the feature that solves that problem. Right? So you want to connect your problem and your solution. Right? Talk about the impact you're making and be very customer focused. Right? Doesn't matter. You might have a feature that you have put thousands of hours to build, but if the customer, that is not an important feature, or it's not an important function for the customer, it doesn't matter. You need to have the feature. You might have to put 1,000 hours and build the feature. But if the customer is not, if that is not critical for the customer, don't talk about it. Right? Be very customer centric. Be driven from a customer's point of view, because then only the investors are all going to think, you know what, this guy knows why their customers want their product or service. Right? So here's the concept for Study Buddy. So we've shown some UI mockups of the solution. We've highlighted what are the key features, and we've put a very big statement that we are trying to create engaging, easy to use, fun product. Right? So at the end of the day, this is what is your solution. Right? And from an investor's point of view, you explain this a little bit more to them when you're pitching, but you don't go into deep dive. You don't talk about how this feature works, how that feature works. Very high level, you present it. The next thing you want to talk about is, once you talk about a solution, you say, why is your solution going to be successful? And that is your competitive edge. So on your competitive edge, what you want to do is you want to talk about what are the things that you are going to have that are going to make your solution successful over anybody else. So your edge can be your algorithms, your processes, your partnerships, your networks. If it's a food product, it's the ingredients that you're using, right? Or the percentages or the volume of ingredients you're using. You want to kind of not give it away, but you want to say that we have this, and that is why we are going to be successful over anybody else, right? It should be something that is difficult to duplicate, right? Not impossible, but it should be something that is difficult to duplicate, and it should be how you are different from the competition. One small comment I want to make here: don't go and tell that your price or your domain knowledge is your competitive edge. Why do I say that? Because it's impossible for you to be someone who has complete domain knowledge, and nobody else in the world has the same knowledge. And price, if you become price competitive, what's going to happen is, the minute your customers, you prove that, okay, you know what, if I give the same product for 10 rupees less, my customers will come to me. Your investors are going to know that the next player in the market who comes in after you, if they bring the price down also by 10 rupees, you will lose all your customers. Right? So domain and price should not be competitive edge, a competitive advantage. It has to be something, your process, your algorithm, your partnerships, but there has to be something that makes you unique that others can't copy and duplicate. So for Study Buddy, we've kind of created this Venn diagram. So because we're trying to create this marriage between learning and healthy competition, that is our competitive edge. Once a kid gets hooked in our platform, they are not going to want to move to any other platform. Right? So that is our competitive edge. Then once now up to this point, but I said, we found a problem. We know there are enough people who need this problem solved. Here's a solution, and here's how this solution is going to be successful. Now you get to the business side of your presentation. So the first thing we talk about is, where is the money? Right? How are we going to make money? So when you're making money, you have hundreds of ways of making money. Right? So you don't need to be stuck to one. You can pick multiple. And you can also, if your business is already started, if you have already built a product, if you're already in the market, you can talk about what models that you're already using, how successful they have been, right? With your revenue model, keep it simple. Don't go. You don't need to have 100 revenue models or 10 revenue models. Just few. Advertising, B2B, B2C, SaaS, whatever. Right? You just have a revenue model. It's always good to have multiple revenue streams in your startup, right? The reason I'm saying this is, during COVID, we lot of startups discovered that having just one revenue stream is not sustainable. Because if anything happens to that revenue stream, your business is gone, right? You can't do that. You can't survive like that. You have to have multiple revenue streams. In case something happens here, there is always revenue coming from somewhere else, right? Try to have firm numbers. It might be hard early on, but even if it's not you, one thing I want you to remember is, what you present at this is not going to be it's never going to be fixed. It's not like cement. You can keep changing it. I say, don't worry about it. You have some, I'm going to charge 1,000 rupees per user. You might realize later 1,000 rupees is not enough or it's too much. And you need to change it. That's okay. Right? But you have to have some, don't come and say, I will charge between 500 and 1,000. I don't know. No, that doesn't create confidence. Right? Have your number very firmly. I'm going to charge 750. I'm going to charge 1,000. I'm going to charge 1,500. Doesn't matter. You can change it later. But show your investor, show your panel that you are confident about what you're doing. Right? Now, here's what we're trying for Study Buddy. The Study Buddy works on a freemium model. So there is a free model, and then you have a premium model where you unlock extra things. But at the same time, we've also created a school model, right, where we go and sell the product on a white label to schools. So now that even if the users don't get it, the schools will still pay us, right? So this again is a different way that we are creating. So we can have other revenue streams also. We can have advertising, right? We could have this going on a global scale, right? It could be a SaaS model, right? So the product has a lot of potential. So you want to show that there are many ways in which we can make money through our solution. Right? Again, one thing I want to say is you don't need to be doing all of them on day one. Right? On day one, you might be just doing one thing. You might just be having a flat subscription rate or a flat price. That's okay. Down the road, you want to be able to show the investor or the panel that there's potential for different revenue streams and that you are open to thinking about them. Now, once you know how I'm going to make revenue, the next question is, how do I find customers, right? So when you're talking about marketing strategies, you want to highlight different ways of reaching your customers, right? So very often we say, we will put a social media ad and then customers will come from it. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. So you need to have different ways. You might have trade shows, you might have exhibitions, you might have paper advertisements, online advertisements. You might have to go for conferences, right? Organize special demo days, go for customer sales meetings, get customers through normal old-fashioned sales. So all of those are your go-to-market strategies, right? You need to have multiple ways of contacting your customer. Keep it very high level. And if you have any numbers, if you have done any marketing, you know what your cost is, share those numbers. But usually at IEEE, the INSL level, you are very early on, so you might not have numbers. And if you haven't done any marketing, share your lessons learned, right? We did some social media marketing, but it didn't really get us good results. We did some exhibition. We went for this exhibition, we went for that. Wonderful. Builds confidence in you, right? So if you have any goals, so go to market should be very high level, proving that you know how to go and try. You have an idea of how to find your customers. Right? That is what is going to be in this present on this slide. Right? So here's what we have done for Study Buddy. The free premium model. These are the things that we're going to do. We're going to work with influencers, we're going to do social media, we're going for exhibitions, we're going to put a billboard, all of these things. School, different marketing model. We are going to get a sales team who are going to go door to day. We are going to talk to the Ministry of Education. We are going to talk to the Institute of the TISL, which is basically the organization, Association of International Schools in Sri Lanka. We're going to go for exhibitions. We're going to give a free trial period for schools for 3 months. Everything that we are going to do for our product to help our product be found by our customers, right? So this is my marketing strategy for Study Buddy. So you need to come up with a similar thing for your product as well. Similarly, you're going to look at, when you talk about making money, the question is, you're going to try and convince customers to buy your product or service. The question is, who are the other people who are doing the same thing? Who are your competitors? So competitors, you don't need to go into a lot of detail, but you need to do some research. You need to do research and remember, your competitors are not always the people who are doing it the exact same way you are doing it. So for example, let's say you're building a product, you're using NFT, blockchain, IoT, AI, all this. Your competition is not the others who are doing with all of those things, right? There might be somebody who's doing it very simply, in a very simple, old-fashioned call center style, right? But the customer's problem is still getting solved. So you have to ask yourself, who are my customers How are my customers solving this problem right now? It can be online, it can be offline. It can be complicated, it can be very simple, but all of them become your competitors, right? For example, I give a very quick example here. Uber Eats, right? Uber Eats, what they do helps us order food from restaurants and get delivered. Who are their competition? Home cooked food. Go to the shop and buy. Go to the order from the shop and they will deliver. That is their competition, right? So you have to understand that not all competition is technical. Not all competition is going to be do the same metrics as you, but they are unique in their own way, right? Also, there has to be significant difference in the offering and the value, right? You can't be too close to your competition, because then it's going to be a bit of a shark eat. You all are both going to try to eat each other up and try to destroy the market, right? And also try to explain why why you are different from the others in the market, right? So again, you don't need to do a lot of complicated research. Just go visit their website, check out what they're doing, and make sure that whatever you're doing, your solution, that you Google it and see if there anybody else locally, globally, regionally who are doing it as anything similar, right? Very often I have seen startups coming and saying, we have no competition. And one of the panel just takes the phone, Googles, and like, here, you have competition. So don't let that happen to you, right? So I'm going to show you two ways that you can present your competitive advantage. Method number one is you take two key metrics that matter to your customer and you show where you position, right? Mind you, this is a model. The placement of the other players is completely random, right? I'm sure they do a very good job of their product, but yeah, I've just taken them as a sample. But we just want to say, no, these are two metrics that matter to my customers. And here is where we place versus our competition, right? So you have to pick two metrics that work for you, right? Not just two random metrics, but two metrics where you have the advantage and where the customer is going to value it. The second thing that you can do is you can do a feature comparison, right? So here we can look at the different competitors. What are the features that I have that they don't have, right? And you might not have everything, but you need to have a lot more than what your competitors are having, right? Just so that shows that there's a reason for you to exist versus a competition. Now, you can also, this is the optional slides, the solution architecture, which is a very high level idea of how your product works, right? So keep it simple, look at it very high level, boxes, cubes. Don't talk about methods, functions, algorithms, right? And don't go into detail. So here's a model for Study Buddy. So I'm just showing what are the key modules that I'm going to have to build for the product to be successful, right? Similarly, you can also talk about the technologies. Same thing, be very high level, very basic, right? You don't need to go into all this and what is your code repository, all that is not needed. What is your technologies? HTML, React, Node, whatever it is. What is your frameworks? What are the databases? Very simple. You can just keep a very high level structure just to answer or to put in the heads of the investor or the panel that there is a technical background of how your product. If your product is not technical, these two slides are definitely not needed. But you can talk about other things like what the ingredients are, what are the if it's a services, what is the process. You can bring those in instead of the technology and the architecture. Now, all of this you talk about the problem that you're trying to solve, how you're solving it, how the business is going to work. And the big question is who is going to do all of this? And this is where your leadership team comes in, right? When you're creating a leadership slide or the team slide, main thing, it should only be your core team, right? Don't make it your LinkedIn profile. Don't put all your experiences, extracurricular activities. Focus on the business need and make sure that only the main people are included, right? Now, when you're building a product, you're going to have a lot of people helping you, right? Some people might be friends, you might have paid people, but definitely doesn't mean that all of them are going to be decision makers in your business. So you should only include the decision makers and make sure that all of the people who are on your team have a particular purpose in being there. right? So define their responsibilities, their designations, what they're going to look into, rather than trying to put everyone, and trying to make it too complicated. From an investor or a judge's point of view, they want to know, who am I going to be dealing with on a day-to-day basis, right? And do these people really need to be there, right? Now, a team is a very critical slide, and very often I know investors, I know people who have walked away from investments, from investing in a startup, just because they thought the team and the investor didn't have a good chemistry, right? So as a team, what you want to show is, you want to show the investor that you have drive and persistence. That means when you're running a startup, you are going to have challenges. There are going to be problem after problem after problem. Will those problems stop you, or will you power through? Will you continue working? Will you not stop? That has to be visible to the panel and to the investors. Are you coachable? If I give you advice, will you listen, or will you just argue with me, right? It doesn't mean that you have to do everything the investor says, but you should be someone who listens to them, thinks about it carefully, and answers, make a reasonable decision, right? You have domain knowledge, right? Are you someone who has zero background in the industry and you're trying to build a product and there's nobody there to support you, right? Or do you have some domain knowledge? And very importantly, do you know what skills you have and what skills you don't have, right? As you know, IEEE you tend to have a lot of engineer-driven startups who participate, and generally, engineers don't have the marketing skills. So does that mean you put an engineer and say, no, you go and do the marketing? Not always. There's no harm in it. But if you know that there's nobody in your team who has marketing, tell. We have a CEO, we have a CTO, we have a chief science officer, all that, but we need to find or hire. We have to hire a head of marketing, right? Knowing what are the skills you have and knowing what skills you don't have are equally important, right? So there's no harm in saying that we know we don't have this and we need to get it. That's better, right, than just saying we know everything. You don't need to worry. We will handle everything. You just give us the money, right? Investors are generally a little smarter than that, so they may not always be they might see it as a bit of a risk, right? So again, here, study buddy, 3 founders, designations, their experience, and what is the experience related to the role that they're playing. So CEO, what are the experience he has and what are they responsible for, right? Chief Learning Officer, what are the experience and what is the responsibilities that they have. So very clearly, I'm showing an investor, here are the 3 people that you will be dealing with on a day-to-day basis who are going to define the direction of the business, right? And that is what we want to do in the leadership slide. Now, the final 2 slides are optional, I would say, for most of you all. You can stop at the leadership style slide, but if you want to, you can go into financials. Financials, again, my thing is keep it very simple. Talk about where you're going to spend the money and how you're going to spend the money. If you're doing financials, don't go into too much detail. You don't need to do a full audit. You don't need to do a lot of numbers. Just a very high level. This is our revenue, expected revenue. This is our expected cost. This is how much profit we are trying to make, right? I would say this is, if you're at a very early stage, don't worry about this. But definitely, I would say try to include a slide on how you're going to spend any money that you're going to raise, right? If you're raising money, you're going to talk about, I'm raising 10 million rupees. Where is this money going to go, right? You want to try and highlight that to the investor or to the panel, because that is going to decide. Because when you spend money, you have to have a reason of spending it. And what we try to avoid is spending money on things that don't generate revenue, right? So if I get money and I'm spending it on keeping the lights on, paying salaries, but this is not really creating and bringing the product closer to market, then it is money poorly spent. Right? So this is the journey of your startup, guys. So when you have these 10 slides, you're going to be able to tell somebody very clearly, and you will know very clearly, how does my startup work, right? And what do I need to get right in order to make it investable, successful? Now, the next few minutes, I'm going to just share with you on some tips on how you have the pitch deck, you have the presentation, but you need to be able to go and deliver it. deliver it with power, with passion, right? And to do that, I'm going to share a few tips with you. Now, first of all, whenever you're making a presentation or a pitch, find out very clearly how much time you are being given, right? Most competitions, you're given 5 minutes for presenting, and then you have a 10 to 15-minute discussion with the panel where you have a Q&A session. This 5 minutes you want to use to create interest, to create curiosity. You can't explain everything about your startup in 5 minutes. Don't even try. But that 5 minutes, you want to just create enough interest to make the Q&A session interesting, right? So you start there. And when you take, once you know how much time you have to decide, how am I going to spend my time? Right? So a good exercise that I've had a lot of startups do and use this and have been very successful is think of your slides, there are 10 slides, as 10 buckets. And now if you're going to present for 5 minutes, what that means is, think of you have a bag of rice where every word is one piece of rice. Okay? Now, most of us, we speak at about 120 words per minute. So if you have 5 minutes, that means you have 600 pieces of rice in your bag. You have to decide, how am I going to put this rice in my 10 slides? Okay? So very often, what happens to most of us is we put most of our rice in the first few slides. The problem, the solution, the market size, and the competitive edge or the competitive advantage, right? Now, what happens? You have put all your time trying to convince that, okay, we have a problem that needs to be solved and we have a solution. But the important slides, how am I going to make money? Who is going to do this? How are you going to get customers? The business side of your startup, no one is talking about it. So don't do this. Make sure that you distribute your time in a logical fashion, right? And one way to do that is to do a script. Right? So for every slide, you write a script. Now you know you have 600 words. You have about 9 or 10 slides. You have about roughly 60 words per slide. Right? So about half a minute per slide. So you need to find a way. You write. It won't be word for word, but say, hi, we are here from so and so company. We are here to talk about our product, which is going to do this. So your cover slide, your sentence, what I'm going to say is planned. Now you might not use all 60 words there. What you do is you take the balance and you put it somewhere else. So the opening slide, you only use 30 words. The remaining 30, you put to solution or the magic sauce or the business plan or the revenue model, right? You reallocate, but at the end of your script, you should only have 600 words, right? Plus or minus 10%, right? But definitely no more than that. The reason you do this is you make sure that you tell the important things without trying to talk too fast, right? And this, I know several startups have used this model and have been very successful in sticking to the time, especially for competitions, because with competitions, they are very strict with time, right? At 5 minutes, they are going to switch off your microphone, right? Right. Now, at the same time, now you know your script, you need to also make sure that your slides are designed well. So a few things you want to try to avoid. Don't put too many things on your slide, right? Don't overcrowd the slide. That it shouldn't be mental effort to look at your slide and absorb the content, right? Don't put text that is so small that nobody can read it, right? And try to be a bit creative. Bring in some color, bring in some new fonts, make it something that people want to look at, right? And try to also mix up the slides. So not every slide a title, text, title, text, title, text. Why? Boring, falling asleep. No, try to change it up, right? Be very creative. Show, because your job at the end of your presentation is to have the audience excited to be a part of your journey. If your presentation is boring, even if your idea is great, in their head, I am good, and you are going to lose out, right? So make sure that you create your slides in a very creative. Try to bring as much creativity, much color, some interest into your presentation so that your audience wants to listen to it, wants to be excited, they want to be part of it, right? And also very importantly, when you create your slides, make sure that it matches your script, right? Sometimes what happens is we come and we are talking, we become, the slide has been made by somebody and your presentation is being done by somebody else. We come and we are talking about stuff which is all over the place. And the audience is like, okay, what are we talking about? Confusion. Don't create confusion in your presentation, right? If you're talking point 1, 2, 3, 4, your presentation, a script should also be point 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So that the presentation is there to help the audience follow what you are saying, right? It's to help them make their life easier, not harder, right? So these are a few things I wanted to keep in mind when you're designing your slides. Now, you can have a nice slide, you can have a great product, you have a great presentation, but your delivery is important. How do you say it, right? How well does your presentation come in? And believe me, first impressions have to be good, right? So if you're going in front of a judge, make sure you wear a nice clean shirt and trouser, or a nice a dress or an outfit that you look good in, that you look confident in, right? Dress professionally, make sure that they are, that you don't come off as, some young fellow, we're not very serious. No, we are serious. We want our business to be successful, right? Make sure that you put that in your presentation, right? Start with a smile, right? Always start. It's always good to be positive, be very enthusiastic, show your passion to the audience. So good evening, everyone. We are here to make a presentation to you about our startup, which is, who wants to listen to this, right? No, we're very excited. We have to show that enthusiasm that we want in our startup, right? Keep high energy, right? At the end of the presentation, the audience should be, yes, how do I support these guys? How do I make this happen, right? And stay open. Don't come and talk to them like this, right? Be very open. Use their hands, move around. Doesn't matter, right? It's about creating confidence, right? Speak slowly and clearly. A lot of startups I've seen, you have 5 minutes, you have a lot to say. What do? Could evening, everyone. We are here talking about like a bloody train. Nobody can hear what they're saying. No. If you have to say a lot in 5 minutes, that's not the solution. You need to reduce what you have to say because your time is fixed, right? The solution for 5 minutes is not to put more content and talk fast. It's to reduce content and talk clearly and slowly. And make sure that if you're doing a session in person, to make eyeball to eyeball contact, or if you're doing it online, look at the camera, right? So you can see when I'm talking to you, I'm looking at the camera, you feel that I'm looking at you, right? That's what you want to try and do whenever we are making a presentation as well. Finally, remember, practice is key, right? Don't memorize your presentation, practice it over and over again. Every time will be a little different, right? My recommendation to anyone is practice your presentation at least 2 times a day, right? A really good presentation you should have at least practiced for 5 to 10 days, twice a day, right? And when you're practicing, practice from slide 1 till slide 10. Don't, even if you forget, even if you make a mistake, don't stop. Just keep going, right? At the end, I made a mistake this time. I forgot to say this. Next time, when you're practicing in the evening, correct it, right? Don't stop, go back, correct, start again. Just keep going through all 10 slides, right? And make sure that you practice every element of your presentation, from your vocal variety to how are you going to move your hands. Do all of that. When we practice, sometimes what we come and we sit in front of the laptop, okay, maybe a slide we have to say this, maybe this slide we have to say this. Okay, what am I going to say here? No, that's boring. You're not going to create an impact. So you need to come when you're presenting. You need to practice. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's presentation. My name is so and so. Right? Create that. Practice all of those, because what you want to do is you want to make your presentation come out as naturally as possible, right? And you have to practice being natural. What I would like to give you a kind of an idea is, like, your brain has a limited amount of RAM, right? There's limited amount of memory in your brain, and your brain prioritizes things. So the first thing it prioritizes is content. What do I say? If you have practiced your presentation a lot, your brain knows that doesn't need a lot of compute power. So the next thing it works on is the body language. And the third thing it works on is vocal variety. So if you have practiced your content, you have planned your body language and you have rehearsed your vocal variety, your brain has a lot of free power, right? So you can do a lot more, right? But if you haven't practiced your content, all your compute power is going to go for the content, body language and vocal variety are going to suffer, right? So you need to rehearse all of these things to make the best presentation. And when you're practicing at home, visualize. Think of yourself in front of an audience practicing, delivering the presentation, right? You have to create that image in your head, right? It's a very powerful exercise that makes a lot of big difference when you're presenting, right? And finally, remember that your presentation is a performance. There are going to use that 2,500 applications have come in. A few hundred are going to be selected to go to the next level, right? It's your job. It's your job as a founder, as a startup founder, as an entrepreneur, to make sure that your idea is one of those, right? It's your job, not my job, your job, right? So you have to do the extra effort. Remember, it's like acting. It is acting, but you have to show your passion. You have to show your energy. You have to show your motivation. That is when you're going to be selected to the next level, right? No matter how good your idea is, everyone's idea is good. It's how far is the investor going, how far is the founder going to go to make their idea a reality. So my final advice to all of you all before I wrap up today's session: chase after customers, not investors, right? You are all at a very early part of your startup journey, right? Don't think of your job as a startup founder is just to go pitch, fundraise, and try to make a business that is valued maximum, but with no revenue, no profits. Customers are some of the most important people in your business because they invest. They are investors. They are giving you money for your product. They are going to give you feedback. They are going to give you referrals. They are going to give you more business in the future, right? So if you have an idea, as soon as possible, try to get customers, right? If you have customers, then the investors will come. Right? So thank you very much, everyone. So I'm excited for all of you all to start this journey. So my final advice from Steve Martin, is be so good that you cannot be ignored. I know that each and every one of you have that potential in you. So I know that you will make a difference in Sri Lanka. Maybe this idea, maybe another idea, but don't ever stop dreaming and make sure that you make that difference. So thank you very much for having me here today. And let me hand over controls back to Pavani to handle the Q&A session. Pavani, over to you.
Thank you for that illuminating session, Mr. Mohammed. I think we can all agree it was a very informative session with proper guidance that certainly addressed all the doubts of our young entrepreneurs. I personally got to know a lot through this session. So thank you so much for that. So now that we are done with today's session, it's time to get your curiosity satisfied. Please feel free to raise any questions you need to be answered or any doubts that need clarifications on marketing stratagems and pitching via the slider link provided in the chat. So, Mr. Mohammed, I hope you are there. And let's proceed with the questions we have received so far.
Sure.
So, Mr. Mohammed, the first question is, if we have a good idea and a marketing strategy, is it possible to raise money for the startup even we don't have a MVP?
Okay, thank you, Pavani. It is possible, right? It is definitely possible. What you can do is you have a few options you can do. You can go through competitions like INSL. There are a few other programs that you can do, or you can join an incubator program. So there's an incubator program called STEP from ICTA, where they work with early stage startups or idea stage startups to basically fund and help them become to build their MVP basically. So it's definitely possible, but you have to understand that the amount of fundraising money is limited and ideas are unlimited. So if you as a founder go and try to pitch only an idea without any kind of traction, one of two things can happen. Either you will you may get the money, but it will come at a very big cost, right? So somebody will say, okay, you know what, I love the idea, I think there's a lot of potential, but for me to take that risk, I need to invest, I need to have at least 75% of your company, right? So you will be giving up a lot of equity because you are going to be the investor is taking a big risk. But if you have an MVP, you have a little bit of advantage because you can say, you know what, we built MVP, we've trialed it, we've got some customers who are using it. Therefore, it's not as risky right now to invest. Right? But definitely it is possible to raise funding. But my recommendation is don't run after funding too early. Go and join a few incubators, join some of these programs, competitions, fine-tune, build an MVP, and then try to get to fundraising. Back to you, Pavani.
I hope the person who asked the question got a good answer for that. So the next question is, Mr. Muhammad, when going to develop the skills on pitching, what can be defined as milestones?
Okay, so when you're building, so I'm assuming the question is, what are the milestones that you want to, what you can pitch or you can present as your business, right? So the milestones are completely up to you, right? Your milestones can be anything from your business. You can, you could say that, okay, you know, with this money, we are going to go after, we want to get 100 new customers, or we want to launch 3 new products or features, right? Or we want to go into a new market. So the milestones are up to you. You can be very flexible on the milestones. But my recommendation on milestones is try to make them milestones that bring your product closer to the market, to the customer, right? So your milestone shouldn't be something like, we are going to move into our own office, right? That's how does that help take your product closer to market? Your milestone shouldn't be things like, we are going to recruit 30 more people, right? You have your milestone should be something that is targeted towards taking your product closer to customer and to market validation, rather than simply being milestones of your business, you know, growth. I hope that answers the question.
So the next question is, do we need to be afraid that investors will steal our idea after the pitch?
Okay, so this is an unfortunate mindset of Sri Lankan startup founders. My suggestion to you is two things, right? Number one, most investors who are listening to you don't want the trouble of trying to build the product themselves, right? If they were willing to go through the trouble, then they wouldn't be listening to you, right? So number one is, if you're talking to a serious investor, definitely they are not going to have that mindset. My second point to that is, if your product is so simple that somebody can steal it by listening to a short presentation on how your product works, then you have a problem. Then your product is not market ready. You haven't thought of, your product is not developed enough, or your idea is not developed enough to go to market, right? So my personal recommendation is, talk about your product to as many people as possible, right? Number one, it will give you very valuable feedback about your idea, whether it's practical, whether it's doable, what are the challenges, whether your beliefs and the customer's beliefs are matching, right? Talk to people, get feedback. Some people will say stupid idea, some people will say it's a wonderful idea, right? But talk to people, get feedback. And if you're worried about somebody stealing your idea, my suggestion is, you know, then the startup life is not for you, right? Because once you start up and once you begin your business, you can't stay hidden, right? Customers need to find you. Customers need to be able to locate you. They need to know you exist. So for them to know you exist, you need to talk about yourself. And if you are not going to talk to anybody because you're afraid somebody will steal your idea, even if you launch it, let's say you hide your idea, you protect it like a baby, and you make it into you hire people, you work 3 jobs, get enough money, build the product, everything, and then 2024 January 1st you launch your product into the market. Believe me, probably if your product is not well thought out, if there are gaps in the market, or if there's an opportunity to be copied, within 6 months there will be a copy. Right? So that it's impossible for you to protect your idea for long. So don't even bother. Right? One of the main things, and I can tell you this, that one of the key factors that determine the success of a startup is the passion of the founder. The passion of the founder cannot be duplicated. Right? Even if you tell me, let's say Pavani tells me, Mafaz, I have a great idea. I want to do this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, now Pavani doesn't have money. I have money. Right? I will listen to Pavani, take the idea and go and build it. Right? But because I don't have the passion, I won't think about the next feature. But Pavani is passionate about it. She doesn't sleep. She's thinking about new ideas. Every day morning, she's waking up and writing down new ideas for her product. Right? That passion will keep her. She will take the business a lot further than I would, even if I steal it. Right? So it's a risk, but as a startup founder, you have to take that risk.
Thank you, Mr. Monu. That was a very wonderful answer for that. So our final question is, do we need to mention how the equity shared in the team?
Okay. I would say in your pitch presentation, no, you don't need to. Unless you all are very, very diluted. That means, say, for example, the founder owns 10% of the company, and the founder's uncle has taken 90%. Right? Because uncle is the one who gave all the money, so uncle got 90%, founder got 10%. Then yes, it's worthwhile to mention it. But if you're talking as a team, 4 of you all who have been in this thing, you don't need to talk about it right at that point. In your presentation, you don't need to mention it. You can, if it comes up later, if the investor is interested in investing, they will ask you for more details about what is called the cap table. At that point, you can say, you know what, I own 30%, this person owns 20%, and the other 2 own 25% each. Right? So that can be put later. You don't need to mention it in your presentation.
Okay. So that is the final question tonight. With that, we can wrap up the first Q&A session for the day. So Mr. Mohammed Mafaz, thank you once again for sparing your valuable time and enlightening us with one of the most valuable gifts that we could ever receive, the gift of knowledge. Please accept this digital token of appreciation prepared for you by the INSL 2022 with our sincere thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mafaz. Before moving on to the next section, we have a small video from our innovative partner, SLT Mobitel.
Alexa, remind me to get some extra GB.
Why add a reminder? I can simply get it for you.
You can do that?
For the first time in Sri Lanka, manage your SLT Mobitel home services with an Alexa device or the app.
Connecting you with the latest tech.
SLT Mobitel, the connection.
Our own little ones running around this house will be so lovely. I think 12 might work.
Connect multiple devices simultaneously. Internet like a boss. SLT Mobitel Fiber. But if she doesn't lay eggs, she'll have to go. UHD quality video streaming. Internet like a boss. SLT Mobitel Fiber.
It's time to wake up, Mahela.
With decades of precision comes a partnership between man and technology, pushing boundaries in the pursuit of staying well connected. SLT Mobitel, the connection.
To proceed with the second and the most awaited session of the INSL competition applicants, I invite our very own chairperson of INSL 2022, Mr. Chanaka Vikramasinghe, and our program team lead, Mr. Singha Silva, to guide our audience on how to fill the Innovation Nation competition application. Before going to this session, a kind reminder for our participants. We have now enabled the Zoom chat for you to voice out any of your questions regarding the INSL competition. If you are willing to unmute yourself to voice out any question, make sure to raise hand first and be patient until your name is called. So please feel free to raise your questions regarding the INSL competition applications at this session. We are happy to help you. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Chanaka and Mr. Singha.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Chanak, you are here, right? Hello, Chanak. Okay, now can you please screen share again? Now how much? Okay, that's fine. You can close screen share. I'll screen share now. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Hope I'm audible. Pavani, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes. Okay, so good evening, everyone.
Sorry for interruption.
Yes. I'm Singha Silva.
Sorry for interruption and Singha.
Yes, Chan. Yes.
Right. I'm sorry. I just got a power cut, and I think I'm audible without lag, right?
Yes, Chan.
So yeah, you may continue, and I will be helping you.
Sure. All right. Okay. So good evening to you all again. So thank you, Pavani, for the introduction. Some might have a great idea about what's happening next in INSL, and some might not have a proper idea what happens in INSL next. Okay, so as I have put the message in the applicants groups as well, so I'll use both the languages since it will be convenient for all of you. July 10th with the registrations close kara. So till the July 10th, we have opened the registrations for you all to register yourselves for the platform of INSL. Either INSL will register. So we have 2,596 applicants have registered for INSL as the pre-registrants. And by considering those applications, pitch decks world, ideas world, plan kare. Okay, so these are the workshops that the participants need. Okay, so these are the points that they should develop in. Okay, and hustle story road to INSL workshops organize kalla hari men side develop that's what we thought. Okay, so we have had all these 3 workshops in these 3 days, and we thank all of you for participating really well and interacting throughout the 3 days in these 3 workshops. So now api දැන් කරන්න යන්නේ ඉස්සරහට මොනවද වෙන්නේ සහ ඉස්සරහට මොනවද වෙන්නේ කියන එක කතා කරන්න තමයි. Okay, හරි. එතකොට ඊළඟට තියෙන්නේ IN application නැත්නම් innovation nation application කියලා දෙයක්. හන්නේ. එතකොට කලින් දාපු එක ඉස්සෙල්ලා මම කිව්වා වගේ registration process එකක් විතරයි. දැන් තමයි ඔය කට්ටියගේ ඇත්තටම කිව්වොත් submission එක දාන්නේ. මේ submission එකෙන් තමයි ඔය කට්ටිය ඊළඟ level එකට ඊළඟ round එකට select කරන්නේ. Okay, so listen to this part really well because this is really important. Okay. So I'll tell the structure very soon. Okay, so this is the structure. We have got all the submissions. We have got the total submissions, and it will be divided as the idea stage and the business stage. Chanaka, please add anything if I miss anything. එතකොට business stage එකේ ඉන්න කට්ටිය කෙලින්ම semi-finalist 15 දෙනෙක්ව තෝරනවා. ඊට පස්සේ finalist 5 දෙනෙක්ව තෝරනවා. එතනින් grand finale එකේදී ඒ 5 දෙනා compete කරනවා. එතකොට business stage කියන්නේ we have mentioned in that previously as well that you have a MVP. Okay, you have a minimum viable product, or you are already in the market, or with some minimum updates you can go to the market. Have an idea stage කියන්නේ ඔකට තාම MVP එකක් නැත්නම් minimum viable product එකක් නැහැ. හැබැයි you have the ideation, or you are in the idea stage. අන්න ඒ කට්ටියව will be dividing into 10 divisions. නැත්නම් provinces 10ට divide කරනවා. අපි මේක කරන්න හිතුවේ මේක ඇත්තටම ගිය අවුරුද්දේ වුණ නැති දෙයක්. මේ අවුරුද්දේ ගන්න හිතුවේ හැම province එකකටම equally නැත්නම් equity එක තියන්න සහ so from each and every province there will be 3 semi finalists. අන්න එතකොට හැම province එකෙම equally තමයි අපි මේ සැරේ choose කරන්නේ. අන්න එතකොට provinces 8 සහ western province අපි දෙකට බෙදලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට හැම එකෙම 3 ගානේ there will be 30 semi finalists. Okay, so out of those 30 semi finalists 5 will be chosen as the finalists, and all those 10 finalists will be competing at the grand finale, and they will be competing separately. හරිනේ. එතකොට business stage එකේ ඉන්න 5 දෙනයි, idea stage එකේ ඉන්න 5 දෙනයි වෙන වෙනම තමයි compete කරන්නේ. හරි. එතකොට if you look at the provincial competition, මෙන්න මේවා තමයි අපිට තියෙන universities. එතකොට සබරගමුව ගත්තොත් central, southern, ඌව හැම එකටම universities එක ගාන වගේ තමයි තියෙන. northern වල දෙකක් තියෙනවා. මෙතන අපි ඇත්තටම එන්ටර් කරලා තියෙන්නේ සුලෙන් ප්‍රාජස් තියෙන යුනිවර්සිටිස් ටික. ඊට අමතරව අනිත් යුනිවර්සිටිස් මේ ප්‍රොවින්ස් එක අනුව කම්පීට් කරනවා. හන්නේ ඊට අමතරව වෙස්ටර්න් ප්‍රොවින්ස් එකේ යුනිවර්සිටිස් අපිට 12ක් තියෙනවා. ඒ හින්දා මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වා වගේ ඒකට අසාධාරණයක් නොවෙන්න අපි ඒවා කොළඹ නෝර්ත් සහ කොළඹ සවුත් කියලා දෙකකට බෙදලා තියෙනවා. හන්නේ ඉතින් කොළඹ නෝර්ත් වලින් 3 දෙනෙක්ව තෝරගන්නවා. කොළඹ සවුත් වලින් 3 දෙනෙක්ව තෝරගන්නවා. හරිනේ. එතකොට මේ ඇත්තටම කිව්වොත් idea stage එකේ. හරිනේ. ඊට පස්සේ මෙන්න මේ provinces 10 නැත්නම් divisions 10. All these 10 divisions will be competing in their provincial or divisional competitions. හරිනේ. මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වා වගේ මේ හැම එකෙම ඊට පස්සේ 3 දෙනා select කරලා ඒ කට්ටිය තමයි semi final round එකට යන්නේ. Am I correct, Chanaka? Is there anything to add?
Yes. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි මේක කරන්නේ අපි මේක කරන්නේ එතකොට ඔයාලට provincial level එකේ same national දැන් අපේ ලංකාවේ competitions ගත්තොත් හැමෝටම එකක් තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට ඒකෙන් ලංකාවේ ඉන්න අය හැමෝම එක compete කරන එක තමයි කරන්නේ. ඉතින් මේකෙදි අපි කරන්නේ ඔයාලට provinces 9ක් සහ provinces 9ක competitions 10ක ඔයාලා compete කරනවා. ඒක ඉවර වෙද්දී කියන්නේ ඉදිරි මාස දෙක වගේ තුල ඒ competition එක අපි එකත් ස්මූත්ලි කරන්න ප්ලෑන් කරනවා. එතකොට ඒ ටික ස්ටුඩන්ට් බ්‍රාන්චස් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා කරන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒකෙදි ඔයාලා you are already a winner then. කියන්නේ ඔයාලා ඒකට යනවා කියන්නේ ඔයාලා already provincial winner කෙනෙක් වෙලා. එතකොට ඔයාලා provincial competition එක face කරලා එතන semi finalist කෙනෙක් වෙලා තමා ඔයා එන්නේ national level එකට. එතකොට අර national level එකට ආවත් එතනින් කියන්නේ එන්න බැරි වුණත් already එතන ඒ province එකේ finalist කෙනෙක් වෙලා. කියන්නේ your idea has been pitched and there can be provincial in the provincial level you are planning to get few mentors, trainers and maybe few investors in provincial level. You will be exposed to the market in the provincial level, so you don't need to wait until you are selected for the national level and all the Sri Lankan, all the teams from all around Sri Lanka are coming and pitching in the same pitch. you don't have to wait. You have the opportunity of pitching it in the provincial level to the same market. So that's the main purpose of having these 10 provincial competition, and which for sure which gives you the opportunity to expose the market before coming to the final stage. And then of course there will be Innovation Nation Sri Lanka, the national level semi-finalists, and the finale. But however, you will be already a winner because you have been exposed to the market. You got the opportunity. You will be connected with the regional partners. You will be connected with the initiatives who are supporting in your region, and those things will be done. However, you will be already a winner when you are coming to national level, or else you will be moving forward with the regional partners and their initiatives. So you will get the opportunities. That's the main purpose of that. And I think you will understand how we have, I mean, simply it's 10 times more opportunities for you than the previous years. Also, this is only for the idea stage, because idea stage is having a higher bulk. කියන්නේ වැඩිම පිරිසක් ඉන්නේ idea stage එකේ. එතකොට එයාලා තමයි ගොඩක්ම ඉන්නේ. එතකොට idea stage එකේ තමයි මේ provincial competition කියන එක තියන්නේ. So business stage people, there is a reasonable amount, but they will be directly exposed to trainings, trainings if they needed they can join. So it will be mainly focusing on how to grow their empire. So startup එකක් මට තියෙනවා, මම ආයෙ pitch කරලා startup එකක් පටන් ගන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. මට තියෙන startup එක next level එකට අරන් යන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ මට දැන් ඉන්නේ employees 5යි නම් මම ඒක කොහොමද 15කට අරන් යන්නේ employees ලා. අන්න ඒක තමයි business stage එකයි කරන්නේ. idea stage එක කරන්නේ මට දැන් තියෙන idea එකක් විතරයි. මම කොහොමද ඒක business එකක් කරන්නේ. ඒක තමයි අපේ main purpose එක එතන වෙන්නේ. So moving on, අපි යමු ඉස්සරහට.
Okay. හරි. එතකොට කටරන් ක්ලියර් එකක් තියෙනවා. දැන් කොහොමද කම්පිටිෂන් එක යන්නේ කියලා. හරිනේ. ඉතින් මුලින් රෙජිස්ටර් වුණා. ඊට පස්සේ අපි IN applications open කරපුවාම ඒකෙන් ඔයගට එක submission එක දැම්ම නම් හරි. හරිනේ. එතකොට දැන් ඔයගට ප්‍රශ්නයක් එන්න පුළුවන්. Now you might get a question. Okay, so how to complete the IN application? So that is what we are going to explain you right now. Okay. Okay, let me share the screen again. Okay, so you will be given a kind of a form. This will not be a Google form, but this will be kind of a platform which is like a Google form. Okay, hi. In that Google form, not the Google form, in that form, in that platform, you will be given these kind of questions. First, that form will be asking your team or the company name. Team name maybe let's say Syntax or like Luminos, some kind of a name that you can have. Then team individually you can put your name there. Then product if it is a mobile application, you can use that mobile application name. If not, if it is a food, you can use that food name for that. ඊට පස්සේ question එකක් ගන්නවා, what industry does your product or project fall under? හරි. එතකොට ඔයගට ඒ product එක නැත්නම් project එක මොන category එකකටද වැටෙන්නේ කියලා එතනින් select කරනවා. හරි. So it might be agriculture, e-commerce, educational, finance, health, logistics or any of these. එතකොට සමහර ඒවාට තියෙන්න පුළුවන් categories දෙකක්. අපි හිතමු මොකක් හරි banking system එකක් වගේ කියලා. එතකොට ඒකෙන්න පුළුවන් e-commerce වලටයි finance උයි දෙකටම add වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අන්න ඒ විදිහට. හරිනේ. එතකොට මෙතන නැති category එකක් නැත්නම් මෙතන නැති industry එකක් නම් you can choose other and put what your industry is. Okay, so this is just a document. This is the PDF. Your what do you call form will not be like this. Form එක අර Google form එක වගේ answers දාන්න තමයි තියෙන්නේ. We have just taken this for your reference and for your ease. Then you will be asked a question as what is the problem you are solving. So you have to write the problem that you are going to solve through your product. Okay, and then you have to answer why is this important to you. Okay, not to the society, not to anyone. Why is this important to you? Okay, the benefit that you will be receiving through making this project. Then there will be a question like what stage are you at So you have to answer whether you are still in the ideation level or you have launched an MVP that can be a minimum viable product. නැත්තම් ඔය කට්ටියගේ business plan එක දැන් formulate කරන ගමන් ඉන්න ගමන් නැත්තම් දැනටමත් you have started the business and it is ongoing. Okay, and as the seventh question, we will be asking you what is the progress you have made so far. ඒතර දැනට තියෙන progress එක. Okay, then as the question 8 and 9, Chanaka.
Yes. ඊට පස්සේ ඔයාලගේ වීඩියෝ පිච් එක and pitch deck. දැන් අපි initially registration stage එකේදී ඔයාලගෙන් pitch deck එකක් ඉල්ලුවා. එතකොට pitch deck submit කරා. There were several pitch decks during the initial registration as well. So if you think that pitch deck is enough for this pitch as well, so you can clearly submit the same pitch over here, because some of them have done marvelous videos and some of them has prepared pitch decks and they were great. But if you think it has to be improved, so after today's session, you will be definitely get some key points on what needs to be improved. So if you think it needs to be improved, you can add those things into that pitch deck. And also, the pitch deck is necessary because it's the thing what we are evaluating. So this is the real INSL starting. And if you consider this pitch deck, we will share the template of pitch deck after this one. So if we consider this pitch deck, you can take this pitch to any other initiative in Sri Lanka. So in Sri Lanka, we have Mobitel Entrepreneurship Awards, SLASCOM Awards, and then we have many other startup challenges. Also with ICTA, they are running a startup ecosystem. They actually ICTA is doing several initiatives, and one of them is the entrepreneurship in Sri Lanka, and it's really strong because they are planning to get all the entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka into one group and build Sri Lanka in the terms of entrepreneurship. So with ICTA, you can pitch the 10,000 ideas initiative with ICTA. You can pitch this pitch deck. You can clearly pitch to them, and with few minor changes there can be, but the importance of creating this pitch deck is you can share this pitch deck with any other initiative in Sri Lanka. And the list goes on, because we at INSL, so if you experience any other competition in Sri Lanka, they don't tell you to pitch your idea to the next level. Do it, take it to another competition or another initiative. But here at INSL, our goal is making entrepreneurs, not keeping a competition, not having a competition and giving winners. That's not the way INSL process. If you get on board with INSL, there is a part which is the competition, but another part is connecting with the startup enablers, the pre-accelerators in Sri Lanka. So ICTA is, of course, it's a pre-accelerator. Hatchworks, it's a pre-accelerator. UNDP Sri Lanka, SLASCOM, and Mobitel Entrepreneurship, SLT Mobitel Entrepreneurship, and those are entrepreneurship-related pre-accelerators. The list goes on, because we at INSL, we are partnered up with those things. And the next question also following up, are we selling them? No, definitely not. What we are doing is connecting you with these opportunities. And you can take your entrepreneurship journey from any help of, if you succeed from INSL, we are happy. If you succeed from ICTA or any other initiative, we are happy. So at the end of the day, we have entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka. That's the goal of INSL. And the main purpose we are asking this pitch deck is for the same reason as I told before. You can pitch this to any other initiative in Sri Lanka. With there can be minor changes, but that's the thing. So here at question number 8, what you need to do is create that pitch deck and upload it to your Google Drive or OneDrive or anything, and then with permission to view, please do add the link over here. So you need to just paste the link over here in the form. And if you think you need a video, and if you are capable of creating a video here, can a video එකක් තිබ්බොත් ඇත්තටම හොඳයි, because if you are having a video, you are having an added advantage, because people are going to watch your pitch and it's text. Of course we are going to evaluate it with no bias, but if you have a video, it will be an added advantage, because the judges, they are taking you as, oh, this team is serious, they have prepared a video for this, so this team is serious, and these are which makes you some plus points. So you can add those two links if you have a video, and of course you need to have pitch deck. And for the project proposal, you just need to submit the same proposal in a PDF format. You can submit the pitch deck. It is the project proposal as well. So you just submit it in the form as well. And the section 2, I think Singha can continue. And before that, the question which is frequently asked from us is that අපි මේකට join වුණා. If we join with INSL, අපේ ideas හොරකම් කරයිද? Like, do you steal our ideas? And the simple answer is definitely no, because INSL is an initiative coming from 2018 onwards, and it is somewhat iconic in the university base. So අපිට 2018 ඉඳන් submissions 2018 ඉඳන් අපි grow වෙනවා. එතකොට එහෙම project එකක අපි ඒ කාලේ ඉඳන් කරන්නේ මෙතනින් entrepreneurs එළියට දාන එක. We have several success stories. Last year we have Durian Sila. We are proudly saying Durian Sila, first durian related products, they are making durian related products in Sri Lanka, and that is one of our success stories. So I think someone has a question, but I will allow some time after the session, so you can ask the question as well. So likewise, there are success stories, and what we are doing is we are connecting you with those investors, initiatives, and those things, but we are not stealing it, or we are not copying it, or we are not sharing it with anyone else other than the accepted judges of INSL. There are several people of judges and those are also from the ecosystem. They are probably, maybe some of them may be investors, some of them are mentors or trainers, like Mafaz. Mr. Mafaz, he's a good mentor. So likewise, there can be people, and we are sharing with those people. That's the answer for that, and that's the question most of you have. And as Mafaz explained, what we are doing is we are promoting your idea or your business. We are promoting your business from our end. Right, moving on, Singha can take section 2.
Yes, Chanak. Okay, so the next part is really simple. So in the next part, we'll be asking the details about your team. So some people might be joining as individuals, and some people might be joining as teams. So that won't be a problem at all. What on an individual can compete, you can compete likewise. And if you want to compete as a team, you can compete likewise. තව ප්‍රශ්නයක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. ගිය සැරේ දැන් මේ 4 members කියලා apply කරද්දි මේ සැරේ ඒක 3 දෙනෙක් නැත්නම් 4 දෙනෙක් 5 දෙනෙක් කරන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා. Okay, so that won't be a problem. Okay, so you can increase or decrease the number of team members that you had. Okay, and if you feel like මම තනියම දැම්මේ මට 3000 දෙන්නෙක් වගේ දාගන්න ඕන කියලා, you can add that as well. So I just, like I said earlier, that was a registration, and this will be the serious what you call submission. Hi, either section 2 එකේ පටන් ගද්දි තියෙනවා team leader details. Okay, so you will have to put your full name, then the province of residence, so where you live. It can be one of these 9 provinces. Then the province of your university. Okay, so if you are an undergraduate or a fresh graduate, you have to put the province of your university here. Okay, so if you are a scholar, I mean, if you are a person who is schooling yet, you can put your school here. Okay, I mean the province which your school belongs to. Okay, then you can put your email address and then also your contact number. Okay, so if you feel like your university's name or your school's name is not here, you can click other here and you can add your school or the university here. Okay, so that is how it should be done. Then when it comes to the next one, you have a place to add your team members details as well. හන්නේ team members ලා එක්කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, දෙන්නෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, තුන් දෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කට්ටියගේ ඔක්කොම details add කරන්න ඕනේ. So first their full name, then the province of their residence. It can be one of these 9 provinces. Then province of the university. So there will be a place like this. So you have to add your province which your university belongs to, and then your email address, then the name of your university or the institute. මෙතනත් මෙන්න මේ වගේම 9ක් තියෙනවා drop down එකක් විදිහට. ඒතර ඔයාගේ province එක, sorry, ඔයාගේ university එක හෝ school එක add වෙන්න තැන එතන දාන්න. Okay, then email address එක and name of the university or institute. Just like I said in the team leaders details, you have to add your university here. Okay, if your university is not here, you can add other and put your details. Okay, and especially your contact number. Okay, so you might feel like, okay, team members like කෙනෙක්ගේ details දාන්න දෙන්නේ. No, it's not like this. You have an option to add member and add up to 5 team members. Okay, up to 5 team members. Okay, okay. So maximum number of team members can be 5. Okay, then we have a question here. Can you explain the project proposal part again? So don't worry. We will be explaining you the what do you call template or the format that your 5-minute pitch deck or the 5-minute project proposal should be. Okay, so Chanaka, let's move to that part. I'll share the screen.
Yeah, we also have another small question. So I will answer it now as well. Is there any advantage to participate with more members? So it depends on what your idea is and what you are going to do with your business or startup. So if you think, for example, as of now, you have an idea, and to execute that one, you need only 2 members. So you don't need to take any additional members from outside just to wait and see. මගේ team එකේ කට්ටිය පහ පුරව ගන්න. අපි in INSL we can take 5 people, and මගේ team එකේ පහ පුරව ගන්න මට යාලා ඕනේ නැහැ. But යාලාගේ මට වැඩක් තියෙනවා. If you think someone what if you are considering you only need 2 members to execute your plan, but there can be someone who can pitch. හොඳට pitch කරන්න පුළුවන්. යාට ඇවිල්ලා convince වෙන විදිහට pitch කරන්න පුළුවන්. He or she can pitch. So that will be an advantage for you. And if there is someone like මේ මගේ යාළුවා මම මෙයාවත් ටිකක් දාගෙන යනවා කියලා, you can take her or him, but it depends on you. So what is the value the team member giving to you? So it always depends on that part. So we are allowing only 5 members, but we are allowing only 1. And this is not to discourage or encourage. The last year winner, he was a single person, and you may see him in Facebook and all, because most recently he took an Outlander or some luxury vehicle, Phonics Software Solutions. He's only a single person who compete in INSL. So that's a excellent success story in last year. So likewise, and another question is there. Okay, what are the requirements to be a fresh graduate? It is you have been graduated within 5 years of your university. So after you have been graduated and you are within the 5-year range. So let's move on.
Okay, then we have another question from Abhay Sundara. Can we edit our previous pitch deck for this? Yes, Abhay Sundara. That is a good question, and that is the same thing that we've been telling. In the previous registration, you might not have the perfect pitch deck that you wanted to. So you can refurnish it, repolish it, and make your pitch deck as perfect as you can make it. Okay, I hope that I answered your question. Then we'll explain you how the pitch deck of you has to be. So we are giving just a template. So Chanaka, can you explain it, please?
Yes, as Mafa said, this pitch deck, this is a template we are proposing, and you can omit few details or you can include more details. But what we are planning also a 5-minute pitch deck. So that is more than enough to give you give a good idea to the audience in the initial stage. And if the judge panel or the party or who are reviewing it is interested, they will ask you questions and they will clarify it. So no need to worry on the amount of time. So this is the pitch deck, and of course the first page, a nice cover photo. You can do it in your own, so it's up to you. And let's move on to the next one. Yes, introduction. So you can introduce your introduce what you are going to do, what you're going to pitch in this one. The example I took with Singha earlier in the day is the fish bun. So if you are proposing fish buns, give your introduction on what are fish buns. So if I intend to sell fish bun in an innovative way, just tell what are fish buns and you will introduce us to fish buns. So that's the example I took. And you can continue. Okay, I think he's having some trouble. Okay.
Yes. Then we have the problem. So as we said earlier as well, you can define your problem here. Okay, so you can define what is the key issue you are trying to address and why is it important. And මොකද්ද තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ? ඒතකොට ඒකයි සමාජයට වැදගත්. And then who is it a problem for? That means who your audience is. Okay, ඒතකොට සමහර ඔයාගේ agricultural idea එකක් තියෙනවා නම් that might be a problem for the farmers. Okay, so if you think of solving a problem for like doctors, it can be a solution for doctors and nurses likewise. Then what social cultural factors share this problem, and then what evidence do you have that this is the worth the investment? Hari ඒ කියන්නේ මොකක් හරි ඔයාලට proof එකක් තියෙනවාද කවුරු හරි මේ වෙනුවෙන් invest කරන්න. හරිනේ, ඒ කියන්නේ you are pitching that if you invest in this, that this would be a great chance කියලා අර proof එකක් evidence එකක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒකත් you can add in the problem section. Then can you think of this problem in a different way? Can you reframe it? හරි, ඒ කියන්නේ මේ problem එක දිහාම නැත්නම් මේකට ඔයා දෙන solution එක දිහාම problem එක දිහා can you think it in a different manner? Okay, ඒ problem එකම වෙන angle එකකින් දකින්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එක තමයි එතන තියෙන්නේ. Okay, so moving to the next part.
So Singha, just to add a small part. So even if we tell you that there are 5 little segments over here, you don't need to add those things exactly. You can do it in your. These are few tips on how to add and what the judges expect from you. So it's simply what the people expect from you. And yes, there are so many things they expect, and some of them over here are not necessary for several people or no the judge panels and all. But you, just to give you an idea, we are adding those things, and those things are not necessary, not mandatory. You can take it on your own. So that's something you need to keep in on your mouth. It's totally up to you. We are just giving the template. Right. Think about you.
Okay, then you can explain your solution here. So in the previous slide, you explained what your problem is and who your audience is. And here you can explain what your solution is. Okay. Then you can describe your product as well. So in the earlier slide, you just said what your solution is. And here you can describe your product. Okay. So it may be a product or it may be solved a specific part of the problem. Okay, so you here in this slide, in this part, you can describe which product or what kind of a product you are going to give as a solution to that problem. Yes, Chanaka.
Right. Next up is the competitive advantages. So this might be a plus point for you in the pitch deck, because if you have it checks if you have studied your competitors. So you need to identify your competitors. If you are launching a product in the same industry, there can be competitors. So if you have identified your competitors already, then the people or the judge panel or the people who are reviewing it, even the investors, they will like it. Okay, they know what they are going to do. That feeling will be there in their minds as well. So identifying competitors and what is the uniqueness in our innovation or our product. Is there any unique thing? So imagine if you are entering a certain industry, or if you take a Moodle, if you are developing a Moodle or the learning management system, what make our solution a perfect one, or what makes the people buy our solution? That's something important and which may give you plus points, but once again, it depends. But the pitch deck should be that the limits, and there are certain limitations. So if you can add, that's somewhat better. And also identify why the need of your product. So even there's a uniqueness, why our product is needed. So that is something you can add in your pitch deck as well. අයි අපේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක ඕනේ. මුලින්ම හිතනවා කවුද අපේ කම්පිටිටර්ස්ලා, ඊළඟට අපි මොනවද එයාලට වඩා දෙන්නේ, and අයි අපේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක ගන්න. Simply ආයිත් කිව්වාගේ අර ෆිෂ් බන් එකට ගියොත් එහෙම ෆිෂ් බන් හදන අනිත් බේකරි අපේ කම්පිටිටර්ස්ලා. ඊට පස්සේ අපේ යුනික්නස් වෙන්නේ අපි අලුතෙන් ෆ්ලේවර් එකක් දාලා ෆිෂ් බන් එකක් හදනවා. It may be not a fish bun anymore, but anyway අපි අලුතෙන් බන් එකක් හදනවා අලුත් ෆ්ලේවර් එකකට. ඒක අපේ යුනික්නස් එක. and අයි අපි එක බලන්න මේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක මිනිස්සු ගන්නෙ ඒක රහයි අනිත් ඒවාට වඩා. Simply that like that. So ඒ වගේ දෙයක් ඔයාලා include කරලා තිබ්බොත් ඒක ඔයාලට ගොඩක් advantage එකක් වෙයි. Moving on, Singh.
Yes, moving to the next slide. Then we have the market potentials and the target market. Okay, so here you can use any diagram that you need. Then you can tell what your business model is. It can be B2B, which is business to business, or it can be B2C as well, business to customer. Then you can put your financial analysis here. Then the total project duration. So you can just use diagrams for these as well. Then what are your revenue models? Then what can be your marketing strategies? So try to use unique ones for these. Then your market researches and category analysis as well. Okay, so it is not a compulsory thing to add all of this. We are just giving you some additional information. Then moving to the next slide. This is something that you learned precisely yesterday, the business model canvas. Okay, so what we recommend you is that the business model canvas is a must. Okay, so in this stage, as the first stage, it would be really great if you can have your business model canvas ready. Okay, so better to have that in separate slide for this. Okay, make it a වෙනම slide එකක් use කරගත්තා නම් සෑහෙන්න වටිනවා. Chanaka?
Yes, business model can අර මම කිව්වා වගේ ඉස්සරලා, as I said before, there are certain things international or when pitching, there are certain things what an investor or a judge panel or the other initiatives in Sri Lanka who would like to help, they are looking for. And business model canvas is that thing. So they are looking if you have a business model canvas. That's something important, especially with dealing with ICTA. Of course, you may have any pros or cons against ICTA, but they are doing a marvelous job in the field of ecosystem with 10,000 ideas. So in order to enroll with 10,000 ideas, it's just a little recap. So 10,000 ideas is they are collecting 10,000 ideas from Sri Lanka and implementing the innovative ideas. So in order to go into such competitions, but what you need is a business model canvas. They need that is not even a competition. That's an initiative which help you to make your idea start up. So for those things, you need business model canvas and the key partners. some parts in here can be omitted because the key partners, you may not have partners right now. You don't have any stakeholders. You don't have any other businesses collaborated with you. It can be that there can be or there cannot be. And the activities, there are key activities what you are going, what you are doing right now. ඒ වගේ දේවල් ඔයාලා මේකට include කරන්න, like value proposition, මොකද්ද, what value is giving from your product, customer relations, how do you manage customer relationships, and customer segments, what you are giving to the customers. Those things you can go through this yesterday's session. And of course there's another session we did in last year from a different speaker. It is also in our website. You can view that as well. And there are so many templates and resources in the internet as well. So you can refer them. You can choose your own template, but use a template which gives a good idea like this. So here we have the revenue. How do you plan to get the revenue? What I plan startup at as we are doing startup to gain money. So how do you plan to get money? If you are planning to have a social like Samaj Seveta social service website, you're planning to develop a social service website, how do you get money? Maybe from the ads. It's a social service from one end and you are doing some advertisements and you are getting some money. It's totally fine because there's a good thing happening from the other end and you are getting some money. Then that makes it a startup, or that makes it a innovative product sometimes. Just not, I'm not judging or anything, but you can decide it on your own. And the channels, how do you deliver your product to the market? That's something important. And what are the resources, key resources you already have, and what are the key resources you are planning to get in the future? And how do you plan the cost? So last year we had as I said, we had a success story, very much success story, named Durian Sila, who is in Kandy right now as a franchise shop, and they made durian related products. So there are several products, yogurts, ice creams, and those things. And if we take a yogurt, how do you create a cost for that? That is something you need to consider. The yogurt cost, for example, it may cost around 100. So how many cost for the milk? How many cost for the durian? As of now, you may not have that idea exactly at the right amount, but you can add some estimated amounts over there. So I think you can go through the videos which are streamed yesterday, and of course there's a video 1 year right back as well on business canvas model. We will be sharing it in your groups. So let's move on.
Yes, so here in this stage, in this slide, you can name what technologies you will be using. So any technology that you will be, maybe you are hoping to use and you have already used, and you might be using right now, you can mention them right here. Okay, and also you can mention here why that technology is specifically beneficial for the product. Okay, so there might be some moments මේ technology එකට මම මේ technology එක තමයි use කරන්නේ. So you can mention such things and what is the specialty of that technology as well if needed.
So then, yeah, and the technology you may think only information technology, the software part. No, it's not. You can use the food technology, or if you need that part, you can add it. If you are using like woodworks, for example, woodworks, so you don't need any IT related things to do so wood carving, so right? So for that, you just use what the machinery is used. These equipments are used like that. You can pitch it in a pitch deck. So it is not necessary to be an IT related one, but most of the ideas are coming from the IT related. But last year, as I said, Durian Sila, they are not from IT background, but there are certain people from IT background as well. So moving on.
Yes. So here you have to mention your progress as now. The the question මොන level එකේද ඉන්නේ. So this is not mandatory. But if you have a prototype or still you are in the development stage, or you might have already completed making a prototype or completed making the product itself, then you can add the progress here. Okay. තාම progress එකක් නැත්නම් තාම ideation level එකේ ඉන්නවා නම් you can mention that as well. So no problem at all. Then moving to the last slide, this is really easy. You can put some pictures, nice pictures, maybe formal. Try not to put selfies. Put pictures of your team or maybe your individual photo here. Then put your university name, and maybe you can put her or his contribution to the project as well. Okay, so that is not mandatory, but better to put the pictures of your team and their universities as well, and especially their name. Then that's it. And at the last slide, at the cover slide, you can write thank you, contact us, and your company name, and maybe your address if you have. If not, no problem at all. Then it's better to have a email that it's really easy to make it. You can mention it here, your email. And if you have a website, you can mention it here as well. Okay, so anyone looking at this pitch deck, it would be really easy for them or for us to contact you easily. Chanagan?
Yes, that brings to the end. And back to that question number 8 in the application form, that is a form. So this is a pitch deck and that is a form. This is a presentation. That's a application. And in that application, for the question number 8, you just need to upload this pitch deck into a Google Drive or any other drive you prefer, and share the link where we can view it. So of course we need the permission to view it. We don't need permission to edit it or comment it, but we need the permission to view it. So please allow the permission to view. And then for the 9th question, the project proposal, you can upload this as a file. So download this as a PDF and upload that pitch deck into that project proposal part. That will be your project proposal as well, and which it will complete your IN application, which is Innovation Nation application. And one of the reason we brought this PDF document over here is that one thing is that Google Form, there are several segments and we cannot take them into one page. And the main reason is this is an Innovation Nation or global application. So global recognized application which is Innovation Nation. The main, or like we are Innovation Nation Sri Lanka, and there are Innovation Nation Malaysia, Innovation Nation Bosnia, and likewise there are several other countries. So they are preparing this application. So that's why we are taking some few time, like we may need 2-3 days to get the approval for this application. So there can be minor changes as well. So 1 or 2 questions might add or drop. All right. And the most important question by Ahmad, what is the last day? So we are planning to allow 2 weeks from now. Yes, we are planning to allow 2 weeks from now for your application submission, because the reason for such it's not a short time, it's a adequate amount of time. Again, සාමාන්‍ය කාලයක් ඔයාලට තියෙනවා ඒකට, but මේක එහෙම කරන්නේ ඔයාලා දැනටම startup enthusiastලා. කියන්නේ දැනටම ඔයාලා startup එකක් පටන් ගන්න කැමති අය මෙතන ඉන්නේ. ඒක කරන්න කියන්නේ ඔයාලා මේ අපි business එකක් පටන් ගන්නවා. we are starting a startup. So ඒකේ ඉන්න හින්දා you can do that in 2 weeks, because you have already pitched, you have already submit your idea, you have already considering about it. අපි ඒකයි pre-registration එකක් දීලා, it's kind of like a warm up, and ඒකට අපි මාසයක කාලයක් දීලා, මේකට මාස එකමාරක කාලයක් දීලා, මේකට සති දෙකක් දෙන්නේ, because you can do it in 2 weeks, because you have done it before. You have that energy, you have that courage, you have that motivation, you can do it. And that's why we are giving you 2 weeks, and that will be the deadline. And the next question. So the difference in question 8 and 9, same pitch deck on PDF form and PowerPoint form. No, in question number 8, if you consider it as a PDF, it's right. So in question number 8, you just need to copy paste your link to that PowerPoint presentation. Yes, of course, we can go from that link and get your PowerPoint presentation. And please allow us a viewable link, so we don't need we don't make any changes in that mistakenly. So we can have that editable link and we can view it. And of course, in the question number 9, you can upload your pitch deck, and a copy of your pitch deck in PDF form will be uploaded. The reason for that, you may be confused why they are asking for two ways, one with the link and one with the file, because it's because the people who are viewing it, they may have some may like to download it and view it, and some may like to go through the document or online version and look at it. So it is viewable. That's the proper format you need to follow when you are giving you are pitching, because when you're pitching, you may need to make it convenient for the person who is reviewing it. It gives you added points. So that's why we are planning like this, and I think it will not trouble you much. So yes, that's the end of our session. And if you have any questions, you can raise your hand up or ask in the chat. We will be waiting for around few minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask. And of course, if you have any further questions, you can ask from the admins in the, I guess you all are in those applicants group, and you can ask the admins of that group any question if you have. So you can ask from them, and they will direct it for us if they cannot answer it. So if you have any question
And
now,
Chanaka, we have a question as, can we move to business level from idea level when we are filling the form? That's from Sankar.
Of course, and that's really happy to hear. So you have launched the idea. You are previously in idea level, right? They were previously in idea level. I cannot see that question.
Yes. That's what Sankar
Yeah, then
said.
of course, yeah, most definitely you can move on to the next level, and that's something happy to hear because you have launched your business, right? If there are any questions, you can drop. We are in idea level, right? If you are in idea level, you can fill it as idea level, and you can come up with the idea level. And if you are in the business level, or the levels, if I explain, the idea level is ideation level is all the idealists. They can do the idea. අපිට තාම idea එක හදන ගම. ඒ කට්ටිය idea level එකෙන් fill කරන්න. ඊට පස්සේ minimum viable product එකක් කියන්නේ අපි simple ගමුකෝ application එකක් හදන්න plan කරනවා. Those are in the idea level, ideation level. Application එක හැදුවා. ඒ mobile application එකක් හැදුවා. ඒ කට්ටිය ඉන්නේ minimum viable product MEP එකේ. කියන්නේ යාලා product එක හදලා තියෙන්නේ. Minor improvements කියලා market එකට දාන්න. All I'm on hotspot. Singha, can you hear me?
Yes, Chanaka. Clear.
Okay. So minimum viable product or a product එකක් තියෙනවා දැන්. ඒක තාම ඔයාලා business market එකට දාලා නැහැ. And business plan formulation is you're planning to launch it into the business. And these days there are several startups who are planning to launch into the market at the right time. So they can apply, and maybe our initiatives or us, we can help you with that. And finally, there are ongoing businesses. So ongoing businesses, they can fill this form as ongoing business. I hope that answers it. And are there any questions
Any other questions? So you can, if you have any questions, you can just raise your hand and our host will unmute you.
Or else you can drop it in the chat as well. And it's really nice to see these young enthusiasts. We all are in the same. I mean, we all are passing our youth, and it's really nice to see you guys joining the startup ecosystem, and that's what the country needs right now, because we need entrepreneurs to find dollars. We cannot wait. Personally, I don't think we will get anything from the ruling party or those people. So what we can do is to in order to get Sri Lanka to a next level, we can do it, the young, the youth, the entrepreneurs of Sri Lanka. So I think there are no questions, and if so, we can wind up the session for today.
And excuse me, Jan, there's one question. Can you drop this presentation to the group presentation template?
Yep,
yes, basically we are sharing the template.
Yeah, we are sharing the templates, we are sharing the applications, we are sharing the recordings, YouTube recordings as well, so you can refer them further. And also the people who have joined all 3 days and filled the submit form in all 3 days, they will be getting a valuable certificate, as you have completed a training on the topics we covered over here. And there's a request, a small request. Can we arrange a session to get more info regarding the legal side of business initiatives? Of course, definitely. And if you are, okay, Ruanta Charuga, if you are in the, what you can say, if you are in a business stage, we will plan that session. And even if you are in the idea stage, you can join. That's a valuable comment, actually. We can consider that. I'm not giving that we are doing it on this day or something like promise that, right? But definitely we are planning that, because INSL is a place which makes you the entrepreneurs, not like a simple typical competition. And I really hate if you think INSL is a competition. It's not a competition, it's a program which cater as the funnel between the startup giants and the university undergraduates, or the university community or the youth community of Sri Lanka. So we are acting as a funnel, and what we are doing is promoting you to the next level. And with that, I think it sums up, right? Sina, do you get any questions more? And I think
that's it, Chanu. We've answered everything.
All right. So if you have any questions, you can raise it in the through the admins in the application. So, right. Oh, back to you, Pavani, or you can take this.
Thank you, Chanaka and Sinha, for the very useful session, and for all those who are willing to apply for the INSL competition. I hope all of you got a good idea on that fact. And good luck to all of you who are willing to apply for the INSL competition, because this might be the turning point of your life as a young emerging entrepreneur. United Nations Development Programme Green Innovation Challenge is an opportunity to crowdsource innovative solutions to build a greener and sustainable economy in Sri Lanka. It is a part of the flagship Youth Leadership, Innovation and Social Entrepreneurship Initiative, Hackaday. Let's take a look at a video from UNDP, one of our partners.
Introducing Movers for Climate in Sri Lanka, a climate awareness raising and skills development program for youth that's currently being implemented in 20 countries and territories across Asia and the Pacific. The 5 pillars of Movers for Climate: mainstreaming youth participation in the climate agenda, climate education, train the trainer, climate advocacy accelerator, green jobs awareness, This initiative aims to create a fast-growing, long-lasting, youth-led climate movement at both the national and regional levels, equipping youth with the modern-day skills they need to become effective climate advocates and leaders, working at the national level to influence climate-related decisions. The program provides youth with practical, easy-to-use tools including training toolkits, a climate resource hub, messenger quizzes and more, allowing them to then create high-impact climate awareness campaigns within their communities. Register now to join the next Movers for Climate workshop. www.hackadev.lk/Movers for Climate. A joint initiative of UNDP, UNICEF, Youth Collab and YECAP.
Dear participants, we have posted the link to a feedback form in the chat. Please make sure to leave your feedback regarding today's session. So finally, the time has come to take the official photograph. We would appreciate it if all the participants could switch on their cameras and give us their best smiles for a couple of seconds until our team takes the screenshots. It would be really nice if all of you could turn on your cameras so that we can capture our final moments of Road to INSL. Once again, we are reminding it would be really great if all of you could turn on your video cameras.
Sorry, Pavani, I think there was some mistake from our end. We cannot, we haven't given them permission. So now they can.
Thank you for all those who have on their video cameras. It was indeed a great pleasure to have all of you on board, and to express our gratitude, I would like to invite the publicity team lead of INSL 2022, Mr. Asanka Fernando, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you. I am audible.
Yes, yes, sir.
Good evening to all of you. It's my privilege to propose the vote of thanks behalf of the Innovation Nation Sri Lanka 2022 on this final day of our Road to INSL workshop series. Our guest speakers for the day, Mr. Mohammed Mamaz, the co-founder of SL Show and Tell. We are very much grateful to you for sharing your knowledge on meeting segment, pitching together with your success story to motivate our audience. We believe our audience was able to grab a lot from your session. And we would like to extend our senior thanks for Mr. Chanaka Vikram Singha, our very own chairman of IEEE Innovation Nation Sri Lanka 2022, and Mr. Singha Silva, the program lead of IEEE Innovation Nation Sri Lanka, for taking your time to guide our audience on how to fill the Innovation Nation competition application. We also wish express our gratitude to Mr. Dhammika Marsingh, chairperson of IEEE Young Professionals Sri Lanka, and other representatives of YPSL for being present with us today and for your constant support and guidance throughout the time. Also, we would like to once again thank all the speakers who joined throughout this Road to INSL workshop series for sharing their knowledge with our audience and for the amazing support they gave us for the success of this workshop series. And to all the team and leaders and members, thank you for being present with us for all the 3 days of the workshop series. We are very much delighted by your presence here with us, and we believe you gain a good insight from the workshop series. Last but not least, this Road to INSL workshop would not be successful without the support of our organizing committee along the provincial coordinators and university representatives. Thank you for your support given throughout the Road to INSL workshop series. Once again, we would like to extend our sincere gratitude to each and every one of you. And dear participants, we wish you all the very best for the upcoming provincial competitions and hope you all get a lot from this workshop series and prepare yourself for your next round. Good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Asanka. So that concludes the proceedings for today, and we hope you gain the best out of this 3-day workshop, 3-day program. Every day holds the possibility of a miracle. So keep hoping for the best and keep shining. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience tonight. Good night, everybody. Take care and stay on the edge, for the learning shall never stop. It will only go on hereafter. I'm Pavani Kalegana, signing off.
Alexa, remind me to get some extra GB.
Why add a reminder? I can simply get it for you.
You can do that?
For the first time in Sri Lanka, manage your SLT Mobitel home services with an Alexa device or the app.
Connecting you with the latest tech.
SLT Mobitel, the connection.
Our own little ones running around this house will be so lovely. I think 12 might work.
Connect multiple devices simultaneously. Internet like a boss. SLT Mobitel Fiber. But if she doesn't legs, she'll have to go. UHD quality video streaming. Internet like a boss. SLT Mobitel Fiber.
It's time to wake up, Mahela.
With decades of precision comes a partnership between man and technology, pushing boundaries in the pursuit of staying well connected. SLT Mobitel, the connection.